Huh.
Welcome back to Lunch Table Sports. I'm Big Tice, joined here by the boys, Dilly, Trev, Saya, Dimaj, Bush. How we doing, boys?
Good.
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Glad to hear it because I'm
Eventful
doing
day.
fucking great. Rogers back. As we all heard, Aaron Rodgers has decided to return to the Green Bay Packers. I'm ecstatic about it. What does everybody else think? DiMaggio, how are you feeling about it?
I'm fucking sick. I'm disgusted. Especially because Devontae Adams is franchise tagged as well.
Yep.
I was so ready for him to just leave, for both
The
of them
band's
to
back
leave.
together.
I don't even know what to say. I'm just disappointed. I'm very, very upset. I mean, I'm happy that they're still playing, respect to one of the greats, but to get him the F out of the North, bro, please. God's sake. Oh,
Have the numbers come out yet, Tice?
Official numbers
yeah.
still have not come out. The early reports this morning were 4 years, 200 million, but that was never verified. So
even Aaron Rodgers came
looking
out
like
and said
that was
that it's
false.
inaccurate.
Yeah.
So
yeah, still waiting. Pat McAfee said that he was told that no negotiations have begun yet, and that this is only like a verbal confirmation that he is coming back. So it could be another couple weeks, maybe, until an actual deal gets done.
makes me sick. Makes me so sick.
that's funny.
But not the only big quarterback news today. In maybe some even more shocking news, Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos. Get him out of the NFC West and send him to the AFC West. The trade was Russell Wilson and a 4th rounder to Denver for Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, Drew Lock, and then 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So,
Can I just say that I think both teams did a great job in getting something useful for whatever they thought that the market was for Russell Wilson. And I feel like they both walked away like bandits.
Yeah, you can make the argument because, I mean, the Broncos, the biggest loss I would say for the Broncos, obviously besides the 1st round picks, would be Shelby Harris. Because
he was a starter.
He was a starter, and like I've been hearing things that he was a big locker room guy, like a big team leader, and so that's obviously a loss. But I mean, the return I think will be worth it.
And
even though
you
get emerging tight end.
Oh yeah.
Hey, it's Albert O season up in Denver now.
And Russell Wilson loved tight ends in Seattle too.
Yeah.
So
this year in the draft, there's a deep tight end class that they can go find somebody.
Oh yeah. Free agency too. I mean, Zach Ertz is a free agent. Zach Ertz is free agent. He's cheap.
Gronk.
I know Gronk's free agent. Max Williams free agent.
So the only other quarterback he wants to play with is Joe Burrow.
Hayden Hurst is also a free agent this year.
Hayden Hurst, yep.
There's a lot of talent on the market. I feel like at the end of the day, the Broncos got exactly what they needed, was a franchise quarterback. And the great thing is Russell Wilson can play for plenty of years, further.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, they have a signal caller for hopefully the next 5 to 10 years at this point, seeing how some of the quarterbacks are playing into their fucking mid-40s at this point. So I think this is a great move, but at the same time, I feel like I think the Seahawks won. I think the Seahawks won that trade. I still think Drew Lock's in the right scenario can be a great quarterback. He never had an offensive-minded coach to get him there. Never had it.
No pun intended here, but I think Pete Carroll can unlock his potential.
Well, who knows? Maybe at this point, it looks like they're going for a full rebuild. I mean, they just cut Bobby Wagner on top of it. And you guys, we were talking about it earlier today. Pete Carroll does not want to be part of a rebuild.
Yeah.
If he feels like because of these moves, he's in a rebuild and they're going to have to start from the ground up, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt that team when Pete Carroll leaves. But if he stays, that team could be phenomenal. If that 9th pick is used on a quarterback, great. I think there's plenty. I think there is talent there. If you get Malik Willis, I still think there's better options And like the kid from Cincinnati, I don't know why, Desmond Ridder, I think he's better still. But at this point, I feel like you could get the quarterback at that slot, and that offense would be phenomenal. Everybody got a 26.9 million boost in cap space right before free agency. You could sign one or two great offensive linemen, and you would have a solid offense still, even without Russ. So I don't know. It's interesting. I love the Seahawks, what they've done at this point.
I mean, the Broncos might not be done either. I know I'm kind of sad about it, but Chandler Jones didn't get franchise tagged today. And I know the Broncos are a top destination spot for Chandler Jones. So that'd be pretty good for Denver if they can land him as well.
Don't forget about
Chandler
Vaughn.
Jones or potentially Von Miller. He was
Oh,
saying
yeah,
just
Von
the other
Miller
day
again.
he'd be
Von
open to
Miller,
returning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be.
I think that's
You never know.
hilarious.
Now he has some incentives.
Yeah, definitely. I think Vaughn was basically just a rental at this point for the Rams.
I
They
mean-
just needed him for the run.
I mean, that was a smart move by the Broncos too, because they knew he was
Oh.
going to be a free agent, and
Mhm.
obviously
Right.
there's always going to be some heart to heart involvement with them too. So
And who
They
knows?
must have
Maybe Vaughn leaves, goes to the Broncos, and like you guys are saying, Chandler Jones was a Broncos were a destination for him. But what if he ends up just going to the Rams instead? I mean, I know that's going to hurt Joey, but
There's a
I
chance.
think there's a chance, definitely,
Yeah.
if they were trying to
Definitely a
re-sign
chance.
Vaughn instead, just get Chandler.
right, and I mean that'd be kind of a better situation if they got Chandler. He's younger. Has most sacks than anyone since 2015.
Yeah.
Dude's playing like a dog every year. So I mean, Vaughn's in and out with injuries, so you can't really trust him. But I mean, you can't go wrong with either one, obviously.
And the top off today's news, or today, the last few days, I guess. Calvin Ridley suspended for 10 games next year, basically.
17
10
games.
So
games,
it's a full
17
year?
games.
Full season,
Yeah,
full
it's
season.
It's the full season.
Full
Jeez.
season.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Betting on games. man.
1,500 game,
I
$1,500
guess
bucks.
I don't know if it was like an actual like thing, but I saw a tweet that I think it was from FanDuel saying that Calvin Ridley's like betting account name was Calvin Ridley from the Falcons. Like that was his name.
No one would expect it, bro. No one would expect it.
Right.
So-
Someone was probably like, well, this guy's a Calvin Ridley.
Apparently there's a company that the NFL employs, and I'm spacing on the name of it, but it's like a service that monitors all the sports books, and when they like monitors it to look for any NFL players who like register into like the sports book database, like make an account. And I guess that's how the like I saw that Calvin really turned himself in, but then I also saw stuff coming out today that this like tracking company that like monitors all the books found Calvin Ridley's like information registered in it. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, what I think happened is that the company that you're talking about probably withheld the news for a while, probably until about February of this year, and then I think Calvin Ridley towards the end of last season turned himself in, because I read the letter that Roger Goodell sent back to Calvin Ridley explaining like what's going to happen with his whole situation, and he was grateful that he turned himself in for the fact that he could have gotten a harsher punishment than what it already is. So
I just look at it and I'm baffled at this point that the fact that he was suspended for a full year, when you look at cases of like way more dramatic and serious situations with domestic violence and assault and gun charges and things like that, and they get off 1 or 2. I mean, I don't understand how he gets suspended for that long, and those other situations they just brush.
I think that this 17-game suspension is a precedent setter for the NFL, because legal sports betting is such a new thing, and it's only going to grow like rapidly over the next 10 to 20 years. And so I think that the NFL is going to try to like nip this issue in the bud right here at the beginning with players dabbling in sports betting, and really like set an example and set a precedent of like, this is not okay. Like, you will get punished heavily for this if you go against it. So like, 17 games, it seems a little extreme, but for like the first case of this really in this new sports betting era, I understand.
And it's kind of something like, it's kind of in the rule book, maybe not written, but it's definitely implied that you can't bet on games in the same league that you play in, whether you be an NFL player or an NBA player or a soccer player, whatever sport you may be in. So it's kind of something that he knew he was doing it. So
yeah.
you take that risk, and that's what he got for it.
And I mean, I completely agree. I understand getting suspended for the games. I understand that. But what pisses me off is that if you're going to suspend people for betting for a full season, I want to see these other actual like allegations and charges, because I understand some of them are allegations. A few of them were 100% happened, like 100% happened. Everybody saw it and only got suspended a few games. I mean, Ray Rice, the beginning of the season, was suspended for 4 games, and it slowly deteriorated his career. There was more off the field issues, things like that. I mean, what's his name? Foster, for when he was playing with the Niners, same situation.
Reuben Foster,
yeah, got suspended for 2 games, two effing games, and after that, it derailed his career in a way. But it wasn't because of the suspension per se. It was because of how people viewed it more. And I don't understand how they don't get suspended for longer. If anything, they should get taken out of the league at that point for a lot of these things that happen. But a young man who wasn't playing that season for majority of it, was betting, understand, not allowed to happen, but it seems so excessive compared to other situations. I get nipping in the bud. It still seems excessive if you're not going to punish other guys worse.
I don't know.
I just don't understand. Why was he betting? What was he getting from betting? Like,
he lost a lot of money. That's what he did.
And reports were that he was betting on the Falcons versus Jaguars game for the Falcons to win.
I don't get it. I get getting suspended for games because it's not allowed. But if you're gonna do it, I just, especially for a first offense, I get the nipping it in the bud, but dude, there's kids that are getting suspended 2-4 games for worse stuff. I mean, people are getting suspended for PEDs for 2-4 games, and that's actually like affecting the game in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing, I get the gambling. I get you don't want that to be part of the league, but a full season compared to some of the other stuff that's happened, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I think as Tyson is saying, it's going to set a precedent, and I think that it's going to reinforce the statements that Roger Goodell has made that the NFL is not a rigged league, and all of the outcomes are of what happened in the game and nothing else. So
I get it, but set a precedence with everything else. Then, like, make sure people aren't doing the other stuff. Like you're letting everybody else off easy for other things that I feel are more serious. So I don't know.
Tough situation.
Very tough.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, since we were talking about the Broncos, it's actually kind of good that I happen to have Nathaniel Hackett for my coach in these coaching grades. Didn't get to it last episode, but at first, before today all happened, was it a question that if it was a little bit of a bait scenario for Aaron Rodgers, since he is coming from Green Bay, but now, I think it's just as good of a hire without Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers as it is with Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. It's not the first time so let's just date back to yesterday. Russell Wilson's not a Bronco, Drew Lock's the starter. It's not the first time Nathaniel Hackett's built from, pretty much nothing. I mean, he almost took the Bills to the playoffs with Kyle Orton. It's Kyle Orton, who the fuck is Kyle Orton? He also almost damn near took the Jaguars with Blake Bortles as a starter. So I think he's a good coach. He's got a great mind, great offensive mind. Obviously been with the Packers back-to-back NFC championships. So Or I don't know, was he with the Packers the year before last?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, there you go. So has a lot of experience with Aaron Rodgers, which is, hands down, second, third best quarterback to ever play football. So I think it's a great hire. I gave it a B plus. Probably my favorite hire of the whole offseason. So
That's fair.
Like that.
Feel
What other
like
I think it's a good hire for the Broncos.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
I would
definitely
too.
is. Especially with all those offensive weapons and being such a defensive minded team up until this point. They still have the defensive weapons. I mean, for the majority of the team. But at this point, you needed somebody to unlock the offense, and just slotting in Russell Wilson instead of having to build Drew Lock makes it so much easier. You're basically getting I believe a tier below Aaron Rodgers, but still an elite quarterback in Russell Wilson, and just having that in general makes your team so much better.
Sure.
I'm really excited to see how Nat Hackett, especially now with Russell Wilson, can utilize Jerry Jeudy and see if he kind of can play a similar role to Devontae Adams, just that elite route runner, solidified number one receiver, because I still believe Jerry Jeudy has the potential to be a number one receiver in this league.
Oh, absolutely.
I loved him at Alabama. And I just don't think he's had the right offensive scheme or the right quarterback to really reach his full potential. But I think 2022 is going to be a big year for Jerry Jeudy.
Well, don't forget about the other guys on that offense too. I mean, Cortland Sutton was a
Cortland
pro
Sutton,
Yeah.
Tim Patrick.
and I still personally think he'll be the number one in that system. I love Jerry Jeudy, but coming out of college, out of SMU, during that draft, I had him as my number 2 receiver, Cortland Sutton. And I loved him. I mean, he wasn't the most polished route runner, but his athletic gifts and his ability to just moss the absolute hell out of the corners that he was playing against, he's only improved as a route runner. I mean, I think there'll be a perfect 1-2 punch, just like how Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf were for Russell Wilson in Seattle. And then on top of that, they get Tim Patrick, a more solid offensive line, and a better defense on top of having Javonte Williams, who's better than Chris Carson. That team
and Rashad Penny.
And Rashad, like that team in general is just so solid with all the weapons they have on offense, and they're gonna excel. They have to at this point.
I mean, yeah, Javon Williams, great running back, but not to mention, with the Broncos went 3-0 to start the season last season, 4-0. And during that span, Melvin Gordon was also one of the best running backs in the league. I know he's a free agent, but there's also mutual interest there between him and Denver for a re-sign. So, I mean, that running back combo as well could be, pretty deadly, after Russell Wilson's been working with Chris Carson, who's top 10 running back in the league easily. So all around.
Just to add to what they were saying, the Broncos started off 6-0 before falling off a huge cliff. And then ending
Very
up
true.
9-7 or 7-10 at the end of the season.
Yikes.
Big tough. Yeah.
That's what happens. I mean, you have inconsistencies at quarterback, and it's just eventually going to fail. I mean, the first 3 games, I understand they were all the worst teams in the league. I mean, it was the Jets, the Jags, the Giants.
Yep.
Right.
So,
When Teddy
and the Vikings, the Seahawks, and
it was just they had a rough end to the schedule.
I mean, they did beat the Rams 12-17, so you can give that to them.
They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Cowboys by 30.
They had impressive wins, but
they almost beat the Chiefs.
They lost to questionable teams, questioning whether if they were really truly a contender or not.
Well, now they are.
Indeed.
D-Much.
Yeah.
I know your Bears got a new head coach. What do you think?
I was pissed. I'm not gonna lie. When the first hired him, I understand the hire. I mean, he's a solid guy. But I was really hoping for Dabo. I was crossing my fingers. I wanted somebody that could come in and actually support Justin Fields. But after reading his resume, looking into it, and after the GM hire as well with Ryan Poles, I feel like they're going to complement each other so well. They're big trenches guys. offensive line needs a complete rework at this point. I mean, we need to sign back James Daniels, sign back Cody Whitehair's already good. And one sec.
Slight interruption.
Little intermission. Let me add on to what Demond was saying. Also, Luke Getsy, hired him as an offensive coordinator, which is, also good for Justin Fields, who is your potential franchise quarterback, and because offensive innovation matters in today's game, especially in today's game.
Indeed it does.
Matt Eberflus coming from Indy, he saw both a very mid defense and a very dominant defense, and that was a problem with Matt Nagy. So
I think the thing is that I was very happy with is that we're going to go back to a 40 front, which is what a lot of players like Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack truly succeeded in. He's more of a zone-based defense, which is exactly what Jalen Johnson ran with Utah, a press zone, cover 3 type look, a lot of Tampa 2 as well. It was perfect for the defense, which I was excited about. I was there. I wanted to see the old Khalil Mack and continue to see the Robert Quinn. Roquan's going to fit in the will linebacker role, which was what he was slotted in when he was going into the draft in 2018. It's perfect. It fits the defense perfectly. The thing was, I was so stressed about the offense with Justin Fields' production, with how he's going to develop. But I think there's still a lot to offer. With Matt, I mean, we signed the Giant Packers QB coach, passing coordinator, solid there. I think the production will come from the offense. I was just so worried about how Justin Fields was going to prepare, and I was so hung up on Dabo with how he prepared Josh Allen, and already Mitch Trubisky's looking like a free agent hot signing that a lot of people want if they can't get the big names. So after looking at it all and how the Colts were defensively before Matt and after Matt and how they've been a top 10 defense, I think it slots very well. I gave it a B grade after looking at it. It wasn't the best hire of the season. I still think that's Dabo. I think anywhere he went, it was a perfect hire, especially with the Giants. But I was after looking at it, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes. I think if they can build the trenches both offensively and defensively, it will work out perfectly. So.
Oh yeah, I think I love that hire. Tice, you had a Mike McDaniel, if I'm not mistaken.
I did have Mike McDaniel, and so my grade for Mike McDaniel is a C plus. And
really?
I went with a C plus because I like the hire. I really like the hire. I like Mike McDaniel as like a guy. I've seen some interviews with him, and like he's got a really unique personality, and he's like one of the most no bull guys I've ever seen. Like I think I like the hire, but I also think it's the riskiest hire because Mike McDaniel in San Francisco ran a very run heavy offense and didn't really like the offense wasn't really centered around Jimmy G. And I feel like the Dolphins maybe would have benefited a little more from like more of a quarterback guru and somebody who can really center the offense around Tua, because I don't really think their offense is equipped to be like a power running team. I don't think they have as much talent in the backfield as the Niners, and I don't think their O-line is nearly as good as the Niners. So like, I think there's a good chance that he can like turn the Dolphins around, but I also think there's a good chance that it doesn't work out.
So, I mean, what's your hope with bringing an offensive run game guy into as a head coach is that he completely shifts what the running game was as what it was, in the previous 3-4 years with Brian Flores. And I think that they completely found the perfect guy, in my opinion. I think that's the best hire in all of this offseason, because if you look at his pedigree, he was with the Falcons back in 2016, and then he was with the Niners and he pretty much followed Kyle Shanahan around, got to pick his brain. And Kyle Shanahan is known to be a offensive run game guru, an offensive coordinator guru in the NFL by a lot of NFL executives and other NFL head coaches.
I just personally am not a big fan of anyone from that Shanahan tree. I've never been a big fan of Kyle Shanahan in general. I mean, I've voiced this to you guys before, not personally on this podcast, but I just think he's a very average at best coach. And I just don't see what is to be offered and with the Dolphins at this point. I mean, the Dolphins at this point are a team that needs somebody, and I don't think they got that guy. They don't have a person that's actually going to get them to where they have stability at quarterback. The defense has been phenomenal, but I think that's because of Brian Flores more than anything. It's not like they had a lot of big names. Their defense was just very well schemed. It showed, I mean, I think everybody knows it showed extremely well against the Ravens last season, how it was schemed up. I don't think it was the right hire at this point. I think it wasn't a bad one, but I never liked anybody from the Shanahan tree. It's just not a personal favorite hiring.
I think the current state of the Dolphins right now would have benefited more from like an older, more veteran hire. Like I really thought that Jim Caldwell would have been a good fit in Miami. But
I think so too.
I mean, only time will tell. I mean, because Matt LaFleur, great coach. Sean McVay, amazing coach. Both coming from the same Kyle Shanahan tree. So I guess I'll see. Either he's going to be just like Kyle Shanahan, or he's going to be just like Sean McVay.
Just stresses me out.
The thing about Kyle Shanahan, and I think it kind of rubs off on all of these guys who come from his tree, is not that he's a bad coach. It's that he seems to be very stubborn and very set in his game plan. And that same trait, I feel like, has rubbed off and played out in certain instances with Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur, especially in the playoffs where it gets late in the game and they just have a very hard time adjusting. And that just seems to be a repeating quality and trait with all these Shanahan tree guys, is the rigidity in the playoffs.
I think McVay was such a unique case from the Shanahan tree. I think LaFleur is not a bad coach. I just think he was put in a very comfortable situation. I mean, he was acquitted with Rodgers. The team was not bad. They signed plenty of free agents to support Rodgers at that point. I think McVay was the exception to me with how the team was looking. There wasn't stars except for Aaron Donald at the point when he signed. The team was it looked very average, I guess, and he turned into a Super Bowl potential team. I just think, I think you're completely right. The thing with Shanahan's tree is that they just don't know how to game plan after the first half. If it's not going right, there's not really a way to right the ship. They just kind of stay with their ways. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen with McDaniels. With a team that's going to have to make adjustments, they're not a team that can just overpower another squad like the Chiefs are.
Yeah.
It's a rough build at this point.
Right.
Agreed.
I like it, D-March. Bush, you had Josh McDaniels, yeah? Former Pats coach.
A heartbreaking hire. So I gave him a B. I was gonna give him a little bit higher, but I gave him a B, and here's the reason why.
I gave him a B too.
Yeah. So granted, great offensive-minded coach. Coach behind the GOAT, Bill Belichick. He's won Super Bowls, very successful as an assistant coach. He's been with the Patriots since 2013, so it's been a while. I believe 2013. So he's going into a system that was 10-7 last year, and there's super toxic stuff that's going on with the Raiders right now. We don't know what's going on with the Raiders right now, but I think because of the fact that he was in Belichick's little tree there, he understands the quote unquote Belichick way, right? So I think he's going to do his best in order to try to do what he can to fix that. And then coming in, he has a good quarterback in Derek Carr. He's got a good 1-2 punch in running backs in Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. Has a fantastic tight end in Darren Waller. Has an old experienced receiver, Deshaun Jackson. Has a great slot receiver, Hunter Renfrow. And like it's kind of like the way I've been thinking about it is it's pretty similar to what the Patriots kind of had in a way. They have a good quarterback, not Tom Brady-esque, but good quarterback. You have a super athletic tight end, a great slot receiver, gets open, runs routes well. And then you have the scientifically better or statistically better pass catcher running back in Kenyon Drake. And you have a better pure runner in Josh Jacobs. I think it's going to fit really well. I don't know. I haven't really looked a whole ton into their defense situation right now. I know that they lost. Obviously, last year they lost one of their key players due to being doing things off the field that wasn't the greatest. But I think offensively, I think it's a really, really good fit. Yeah, I think it's pretty. Like I said, it's pretty similar to what he had. He obviously loved throwing the ball to a tight end. Darren Waller being one of the better ones in the league helps you out a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I feel like that offense slates very well. I think that just the biggest difference is the offensive lines.
Yeah.
And I think he's grown a lot since the head coaching position with the Broncos. And
yeah, see, he wasn't very successful. He was not successful.
But I think he's learned significantly from that experience. And ever since then, the offenses he's coached, even with poor quarterback play with Cam Newton, they still found ways to produce. It may have not been through the air, but their ground game, they found ways to put players in positions. And I think that's what they're going to do with Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. Josh Jacobs will probably have his best season to date. I think it was a great hire. I think B was probably the right grade. I need the offensive line to be actually
better, just good.
Better. I mean, like,
they're old. I mean, they have
did not produce well at tackle. He's been an average guard in the NFL up until this point. Left tackle Colton Miller's played well, but other than that, they lost Rodney Hudson last year, and everybody else has just been
Richie Incognito is just not who he used to be.
The same player.
And, who was it? It's I just have the roster up. Nick Martin's not who he used to be either.
It's just a lot of old players that do not play well anymore at this point. And I mean, their only good lineman up until this point is Colton Miller right now.
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely. I want to say Alex Leatherwood's is decent, but he played awful at tackle. And I'm still waiting to see really anything at guard. I just think he's a placeholder at that point for guard.
I think so too.
I think the offense will be good if they find ways. I mean, they have cap space to sign. I mean, they were going to sign Devontae Adams. For me personally, if he was allowed to leave. But I mean, I feel like there's a lot of offensive line talent in this free agent class, like Ryan Jensen, Brian Corbett from the Rams. I mean, there's a lot of potential to fill in at least the interior of your offensive line. But the Raiders, it's a weird case. I like the hiring. I think it's very similar to the old coach. I don't want to bring up him. He's
Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky. I don't even want to say his name. That whole situation makes me sick. But yeah.
All right, let me continue the trend here. I'll go ahead and talk about what I feel about on Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints hiring him. Personally, I think this was not reevaluating all of these coaches. I think this one was probably the worst coaching hire. And I say that because Dennis Allen was middling a Saints defense at best, you could say, for about 5 to 7 years. And he, in his previous head coaching careers with the Raiders, he went 8-28. And I just feel like this is an out of touch hiring with what's going on. And you really need innovation to really make make noise in the league today. And I just think that there are much better coaching candidates out there. And between the Saints having a lackluster head coach and having the worst salary cap in the league right now, there's just no way that they can be successful next year.
I agree.
It's rough. It's
a rough situation.
I
I mean,
mean,
granted, you're going from arguably the best statistical quarterback of all time, retiring a few years ago, to somebody who could throw the ball decently down well, just turns the ball over a lot. And then you also have to mix in the fact that you have a guy that doesn't play quarterback but plays quarterback. You know, it's a bad situation to go into. I don't know.
What is the deal with Jameis anyways? Is he going to be a free agent? I mean, I've been seeing stuff about Jimmy G going to the Saints. So the Jameis experiment is over?
As of right now, Jameis is a free agent.
Yeah.
I feel like this dude has not gotten a fair shot. I mean, he was not playing bad by any means before he got hurt last year. No, and that was his first year being a starter since the LASIK. Everybody's forgetting about the LASIK. This dude led the league in touchdowns and yards when he was basically blind.
Granted, he did throw for 30 picks, but yes, he threw for 5,000 yards.
Stop sleeping on Jameis.
33 touchdowns.
Jameis is the Andrew Wiggins of the NFL, just criminally slept on.
I just don't think there is enough there, like, for Jameis. Like the cap space.
Okay, cap space. Okay.
I understand I don't even think the weapons are there at this point. AK is still dealing with legal trouble, and the receiving core without Michael Thomas is. I can't name it.
Well, you got to think that this is the year Michael Thomas is set to come back, though, because he sat out all of last year with another injury before previously missing like half of two seasons ago due to injury. So you'd have to assume that this is his year, or else they either would have traded him to.
Is he going to be that same guy though? Like that's
like God.
You give. He hasn't played in 2 years basically. After that happens, a lot of players. I mean, I understand there was things with his ankle and mental and all these different things, but at the same point, Josh Gordon was suspended because of drug-related issues, and he had arguably one of the best seasons in 2013 when he played. After that, it was over, and when he came back, he was nowhere close to the same player, nowhere close. And it wasn't like he took that time and just hanged out. He was working to still come back. He just knew he messed up on top of the other 1,000 times he messed up. It's one of those scenarios where I think even if Michael Thomas comes back and hopefully AK comes back, they still have to get rid of so many people to even get close. It's not like they have Sean Payton anymore.
Well, I mean, they're definitely going to let Teron Armstead walk because they don't have the money to pay him. Andrews Pete's probably going to walk because they don't have the money to pay him. I mean,
AK was
realistically, their entire offense is going to be built from the ground up in this offseason right now because they don't have money to pay anyone that was on a contract year.
That's the thing. And that's what scares me even more for if they were trying to go after Jameis. They can't. I don't think Jameis wants to when he looks at that situation. I think there's other teams that will actually pay him big money that offer him a good scenario.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great fit for him to go back to the Buccaneers.
I think that'd be the great reunion. I'd love to.
That'd be the best scenario for.
Lineman is better now.
Something?
Yeah. I thought Alvin Kamara is like done. He's released. Yeah.
I haven't seen any news on that.
I haven't seen an official release, but there was definitely talks.
Let me look it up.
I don't know, but I mean, did you guys see the dude's face?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It was bad.
I mean, him and his homeboys absolutely messed dude up for like walking into an elevator.
But I don't think it's going to really result in anything. Like I said earlier, with the whole domestic violence and all those other scenarios. They don't get punished.
Well, that's still an ongoing case. So you can't write that off to be.
I still don't think it's going to happen.
May or may not.
I still don't think anything's going to happen though. I think he's going to. The lawyers are going to get the job done. and nothing's going to happen. I think Kamara's going to be completely fine, which I don't think is the right thing, but that's just what happens at this point. And it's sad to
Harsh
say,
truth.
but it's the truth. And at this point, I mean, I know it's an open case, but he's going to get off scot-free. And I mean, he's still going to play with the Saints. If he gets a 2-4 game suspension, that's what I think is going to happen.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
honestly, if you were to get a suspension at all, it'd be like 2 to 4 games. Yep.
Probably.
Well, I don't know if I know we wanted to tack on some combine. I know we mentioned earlier that we wanted to do winners and losers. That's just what I did. I don't know if that's what you guys did, but we can just go ahead. I know Trev is watching it live, so obviously Trev can just say who he was disappointed in. My winner was Kevin Austin Jr., receiver from Notre Dame. Both of my nominees are actually receivers. So I mean, he had a 4.3 40, not the fast, but almost sub 440, which is 39 vert, one of the highest, and an 11-foot broad jump, also one of the highest. He went off in the combine. I think his draft stock definitely shot up after that. My loser, actually, I was really looking forward to this guy, and I know you guys were too. But my loser, I actually have Treylon Burks as one of my combine losers. I mean, ran a 4.55 40. Definitely low on the list.
Remember that he is 50 pounds. He's 50 pounds
that's what I
heavier
was
than
going to
every other.
say. Granted, he's 6'2", 225, and I mean, also being 6'2", he also had a 33-inch vertical, 10-2 broad jump, and he's coming into the league compared to Debo, AJ Brown. He's just not as explosive. Still one of the best hands in the league, or in the draft class, probably the best hands in the league. But I just didn't see him really show out as much as I would have liked him to.
I think I'll say my winners and losers too. We were talking about the very first podcast. I think Kyle Hamilton just single-handedly just continued to prove how dominant of a player he is in this draft class. I think he just murdered the combine. I think he significantly proved that he is by far the best safety in this upcoming draft class. Dude murdered the combine, absolutely dominated the combine. And then I honestly don't really have a loser. I don't think anybody really stood out to me doing as poorly as people have in the past. Granted, there are some people that didn't, I guess, test as good as you think they would, but I don't really have a loser. So
I'll go ahead and start off with one of my losers of this draft, and he's going to be a teammate of one of also my winners. I think that Kobe Bryant did not show out and test well like a lot of people thought he was going to. He won the Jim Thorpe Award for being the best collegiate defensive back in 2021, but he ran a really subpar 4.5 4.40 when a lot of the DBs in this class are running 4.3s and 4.4s. So that, I feel like that really hurt his stock, and you might have moved him to a late round 2 or early round 3 pick for me. And then my biggest winner of this the combine was definitely Ahmad Sauce Gardner. I think he now, after the combine, moves into cornerback 1. The biggest question on him was definitely does he have the long range speed to keep up with the faster receivers in the league, since the league's moving in a faster direction. And he ran a 4.41. And that's all you can really ask of any cornerback, is to run a 4.40. And he's got great length at a 79 and 3/8 wingspan, and he's already over 6'3" as a corner. So I think the combination of length and speed plus his competitive nature are just going to make him the first cornerback taken off the board.
Granted, he has absolutely ideal technique. Guy's hips move quicker than a lot of people you see doing anything. Guy's technique is absolutely flawless playing cornerback. The statistics of him in college is not giving up a single touchdown.
Absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah.
Insane.
So for my winner, in this combine. My winner is the University of Georgia, because every single dude from Georgia absolutely balled out. I mean, we'll start with Jordan Davis, obviously the biggest,
Oh my god,
the biggest one. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with relative athletic scoring, but Jordan Davis received a perfect 10 RAS score, and they're saying it's the highest RAS score from like a combine performance since Calvin Johnson.
Yeah,
I mean,
the only person.
the abilities of this guy, like athletically, like just the way he can move is unlike anything I've ever seen. And then you have Devontae Wyatt, who also showed out. I mean, him and Jordan Davis led defensive tackles for the 40. That's just absurd. Every guy from Georgia ran exceptionally quick. I mean,
don't forget
we're
about
looking at a
Trayvon
potential
Walker.
like 4 or
Trayvon
5
Walker.
guys from Georgia being drafted in this first round. Trayvon Walker also had an absurd RAS score. I mean, what was he, like 4.5 flat 40 at
4.51
like 270 pounds? I mean,
Yeah.
this is
Don't
this
forget
is
about the
very
punter.
special class from like a single school coming into the draft in like a long time. Like,
Hey, don't forget about.
I'm very
punter.
excited to see a lot of these Georgia guys, and I think
Punter.
if you went to the University of
punter,
Georgia, you
dude.
won at the combine.
The punter ran
Matt-
4.5,
Matt
and he
Arisia.
also punted the ball for 80 yards and almost stopped right on the goal line. So
And then for my loser, this might be a little interesting, but I'm gonna say my loser is Kyle Hamilton. I like Kyle Hamilton. My opinion hasn't really changed on him, that he is, you know, one of the best safety prospects I've ever seen. But
I don't know.
I feel like this combine was really an opportunity for him to unquestionably separate himself from the rest of the class. Like, I am a physical phenom. I am the best safety that there's been in years. And I don't feel like he quite seized that opportunity. His 40-yard dash looked a little shaky. It looked like he hadn't really trained for it that much. None of his real like speed and agility metrics were tested like absurdly well. I mean, he was pretty much in like the 50th, like the 50 range for percentile for all of the 40-yard, 20-yard, 10-yard. So I don't think that like his draft stock suffered too much, but I don't really think that there's any way he goes first overall after the combine. And the 4.59 40 is a big one for me, because obviously the 40-yard dash is kind of the most romanticized workout at the combine and maybe a little bit overrated, but 4.59 is just not quite in that absurd elite phenom area where people maybe thought it would be.
Yeah,
Do you still think he goes first for the safeties off the board?
100%.
Yes, definitely, hands down.
Because if you look at the tape, because you got to look at the tape. The tape does not lie. The tape will always tell you everything you need to know about a player. And scouts have watched probably numerous hours on him, and they already know. You already knew what you were getting with Kyle Hamilton before the combine. You just wanted to see it live and in person to see how he was going to adjust to, you know, all these coaches and executives asking him questions and you know, shouting orders at him and stuff like that.
No, completely. I mean, when I was looking through, I have 2 winners. I have 1 loser. My 2 winners, one of them's a player that I've been talking about since basically the beginning. Christian Watson from North Dakota State. Absolutely killed the combine.
Yes.
6'4",
11'4",
200, basically 10
11'4"
pounds,
broad.
32.5-inch wingspan. Absolutely killed every drill. And then when he had to test, 136 broad jump, 38.5 vert, 4.36 40, all in the top 10 in his class. Some of them top 5. Absolute phenom. Definitely slots him in the, I feel like, early second round. I have him going to my Bears. I think if a team really loves them that much, especially after his pro day, he could be a late first round pick. I genuinely feel like that could be a very, very serious potential for him. Another one, and I've seen it almost everywhere, but I had to just talk about it, was Tariq Woolen out of Texas San Antonio.
Yeah.
6'4", 205 pounds, and ran a 4.26 Not to mention that he also killed every single drill during the combine. He looked like he was the number one corner. He was slated for like late third, early fourth. I think there's a lot of talks about him being a great day 3 pick. I think somebody takes him on day 2. The potential,
I think so too.
Absolutely there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he bumps up. The one player that really upset me, from a standpoint, because I had him as my number 1 player in his position, was Devin Lloyd. And it hurts to say because I absolutely love his tape.
Right.
Yeah,
He did not test well.
I agree.
For what I thought he was going to, I thought his 40 was average at best. His broad jump was 126, which was all right. I mean, a 10.6 is a great broad jump. It just, I just feel like I expected more for whatever reason. I mean, his vertical was wasn't even the top 10. It was 35 inches. His explosiveness, he wasn't supposed to be super explosive. That was his one thing coming out of college, was his lateral quickness and his ability to be explosive in general. But seeing him come downfield and how he reads offenses, I thought maybe there was some athletic talent behind all that. I genuinely just think he's just a student of the game, which isn't a bad thing. But with the wrong staff, it could hurt. It could hurt so bad if he's slotted in the wrong position at this point.
Yeah, I had Devin Lloyd as one of my losers, I guess you could say. I mean, his numbers weren't bad. It's just matched up against all the other linebackers in this class. He fell way lower than, I don't know, all of us expected.
Yeah.
And then for my winner, I had Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
The dude is just unreal. I mean, at that big, how are you jumping 35-inch vertical? That's just unheard of.
Right.
And
That
a
is
4.7
insane.
40, that is beyond me. That is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A couple more guys I just want to mention real
ahead.
quick from the combine. Brandon Smith, linebacker out of Penn State. That could be your new linebacker 1.
Yep.
With Devin Lloyd not testing crazy. We'll have to see.
Don't go Christian Harris as well.
Yes.
Christian Harris tested
indeed
insanely.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to see how Nakobe Dean does at the pro day, because he didn't.
I'm hoping
he didn't do any testing, did he?
No.
At the combine.
I'm hoping Nakobe Dean does test well at his pro day, because I was talking to DiMaggio about it. I honestly really see him going to the Pats, so I'm really hoping he does test well.
If he does not show his explosiveness, I think he goes in the second round. I'm gonna be completely honest.
I think so too.
If he does not run a 4.5 or below and has a sane vertical with like a 38 vert, I don't see it. He's so undersized. And when Roquan tested, it was what was expected. I mean, he ran the 4.5s. He looked explosive. He tested well on his drills. If I don't get the same feel from Nakobe Dean from a even smaller player, I don't see him going first. It just makes no sense.
I mean, in playing the position that he does play, while being so undersized, he needs to be extremely athletic and extremely explosive. So if his tests don't show that, then I 100% agree. I think he drops out of the first and goes later.
Yeah. Another guy, Zion Johnson, the guard out of Boston College. I think he tested really well, especially compared to Kenyon Green out of A&M, who I originally had as my guard number 1. I think Zion Johnson could be overtaking that spot. And then
so much better as a prospect in general. I mean, especially when you look at his body of work and being able to look across what he can play. I mean, in the Senior Bowl, he showed he can play any position in the interior. And he was my number 1 coming in. I felt like he was being disrespected a lot with being with Kenyon Green on how well he played. I get it. I just think Zion, his body of work is just, especially in the run game, he was a maul. He was a
lastly, Trevor Penning,
extremely smart.
Yeah.
Trevor Penning. Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that he showed out enough to go above Ekwonu or Evan Neal, but just the film on that guy and what he did at the Senior Bowl and how nasty he was, and then the way he tested, Trevor Penning, I think he's making a real shot to be a top 10 pick.
Yep.
I think that he is up there in that same echelon of tackles with Aquanu and Neal. I think that he tested really well, and just the way he carries himself and those viral videos of him just throwing guys around at the Senior Bowl, I think that he's going to be a great pick.
I think he looks I feel like it's definitely Evan Neal and Icky are like 1 and 2. I feel like with Charles Cross and Penning, they're 3A, 3B. They're like,
I think so too.
right.
Yep.
I
Yes.
would not be surprised if Charles Cross fell low below him. I know Charles Cross tested well as well. Nothing disrespect to him. Trevor Penning is looking like such an elite prospect at this point.
He really is.
So we'll see.
Hey, yeah, I'm excited too. We're about a month away, so I guess we should see. Trev, what'd you think about the fight?
The fight's moving into the UFC. I thought the fights went exactly how I expected them to go. Colby Covington dominated. Jorge Masvidal just had no answers basically for anything that was being thrown at him. No answers on the ground game. I mean, he caught him once or twice.
Once, I think it was once in the third round.
Yeah, wobbled him, but no big deal. Other standouts, Bryce Mitchell for sure. I definitely think he shocked everybody.
Yeah.
Holland went exactly how I expected it to go.
Yep.
Light work.
Yeah.
And then Greg Hardy. that dude's career is done. And then I didn't catch the other fights. Those are the only ones I caught.
Rafael Dos Anjos versus.
Yeah, I didn't catch that fight. I didn't catch that
Goodness. That was
I just gotta say,
punching
man,
bag,
hearts out to Renato Moicano. He showed that he is one of the toughest fighters in that division. He's never gonna quit. But RDA, man, the experience, you could just tell that the experience really got to Moicano in this fight because, one, he took it on short notice. Two, Moicano has never fought a 5-round fight before, so this was his first round at catchweight. And then RDA was just picking him apart, lefts, rights, kicks, anything
Took
that
him
RDA
around.
wanted, he had.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
No.
It was like going back on that one. I'll talk about that one again first. I watched the whole fight. I 100% knew what was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I didn't think it was going to be nearly as bad as what happened. I watched the guy. His eye was shut. Like we were talking about. I was shut by 3. Started bleeding by 4. It was literally a sprawling match. But he was punching a punching bag instead of a dude. You know, like you said. Shout out to his opponent, but
It was rough.
jeez. And then Mitchell again shocked the world. Dude had I think it was 6 minutes of ground time. Disgusting. Greg Hardy's done. That guy's he should have never joined in the first place. Kevin Holland went exactly his plan. Was put in the chokehold with 3 seconds left. Look at the camera. Gave her a
That
good
was amazing.
up and called it good.
That was great.
And then talking about the Covington Masvidal fight, because I know I was talking about if it were to swing and be a swing and bang fight, I was wrong. I didn't think it was going to go as badly as it did, but I have the statistics here. So Covington threw, he landed 218 out of 338 strikes. Masvidal threw 90 of 166.
90. Yep.
Signature strikes. Covington wins 94. It was 94 of 201 to 67 of 140. Takedowns. Covington had six official takedowns out of 15 attempts. Masvidal had 0, and he also had about 10 minutes of ground time, ground control. So it was literally just a beatdown, and I was hoping it'd go a lot. I was hoping it'd be a lot more of an even match, but Covington has a gas tank on him that Masvidal doesn't. We were talking about it before we started recording, but Masvidal just gave up. Dude was dead tired, stopped swinging, didn't do anything on the ground, just sat there. All he was doing was protecting his neck.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a beatdown, dude.
It was awful. I'm
good.
No, it's. I was so upset, maybe because I bet on the match too. But when watching it, the end of the fourth round is when Masvidal caught Covington, and I thought low key it was gonna be over then. The way he was about to fold, Masvidal did not attempt to attack afterwards. Threw no punches, just let it be.
He pulled a Nate Diaz on Leon Edwards.
Covington.
Yeah, I pulled.
I thought maybe it was end of the fourth round. Covington got shook, took a good shot. Maybe Masvidal, if he lands a few good strikes. It was like 30 seconds into the fifth round, he got taken down and just gave up. I understand being tired. I get it. Gas tank on 0. You didn't even attempt.
Guy was past E. Guy was past E.
He was past E at that point. And at that point, it just frustrated me from a competitor standpoint. Not even because I have not fought before. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know how tired he was. But as a competitor playing football these past few years, it does not make sense to me how you just give up like that. Your will was just destroyed. And I don't think as a fighter, you ever want to show that. And I think he showed that. I think he looked like he was completely just done.
He had no fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Fourth quarter.
The sad thing is about Masvidal is that guy is so humble in defeat. It's so sad to watch his post-fight interviews because he's literally just like, you know what? He's just extremely disappointed in himself, and just you can see he's just mentally just done. Like he's just
that's what happens when you're carrying practically two people's body weight for, let's say, about 15 out of a 25-minute round fight, and he was just completely depleted in energy and had nothing at the end of it. But really quick, I just want to really give you guys some numbers on how shocking Bryce Mitchell's victory over a well-experienced Edson Barboza. He landed 87% of his strikes. That is 182 of 209 to Edson Barboza's 23 of 46 in total strikes. In significant strikes, it's 34-47 for Mitchell and 16 of 37 for Edson Barboza, and that is just completely unheard of. The fact that he dominated an experienced fighter like Edson Barboza, it was just mind blowing.
Granted, most of those strikes were on the ground. It's still just Edson Barboza, being an experienced fighter that he is, should have never let that happen. I don't know.
I mean, like we mentioned too last podcast, about how all these fighters, give off, so much beef vibes, but in reality, it's not really real shit. Well, I guess the beef really is there.
The beef was real.
The end of the fight, Kobe Covington calling him pretty much a backstabbing bitch and all that. And then Jorge Masvidal on the other side saying, "Oh yeah, if I saw that fool on the streets, I'm doing everything I can to bust his jaw in." I mean, not that he would. I don't think, after that fight, I really don't think he would. I don't know, Kobe Covington. I really wish he would have just went ham when Jorge Masvidal started fatiguing off. I'm kind of disappointed that it had to end in unanimous decision. I kind of wish I would have seen some more blood and some more falling, but I guess that's just how it goes.
Speaking, Colby Covington called out Dustin Poirier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Called him out.
Wow.
So I just took care of some Florida trash. I'm calling out some Louisiana swamp trash. And before go ahead.
Dustin Poirier has come out and said that he won't fight Colby in the ring.
Really? Only fight him in the
because he doesn't want Colby Covington making money off of his name.
Mm-hmm.
That's also fair because Dustin Poirier is arguably one of the best contenders in the lightweight division. So as of right now, he doesn't need to go up to the welterweight division and try and prove that he can beat Colby Covington when he's trying to get the belt back. So,
which I don't think he could either.
No reason.
Speaking of this lightweight division, I got some news for you boys. So we were all talking about Makachev and what the possibilities are in the lightweight division if he's getting a title shot next, getting a title shot whenever. Dana White came out and said that Makachev has to fight Darish before the title shot. And so I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast earlier, and so they were like thinking about like what's this gonna do? What's this saying? Joe Rogan thinks that this is an opening for Conor McGregor to come right back in and get a title shot right away.
And
he thinks that as soon as he steps back, as soon as he's healthy again, he gets the title shot as soon as he's back.
I think that's fair. I don't know who else he would fight. And then if he goes on and loses that title fight, I don't see much.
Just to add like a bit of suspense and speculation into this lightweight division, Khabib did come out and say that if Conor were to get that title shot and win, Khabib would come back to fight Conor for the belt for his 30th victory, and then retire again, just to prove a point to Conor that he will never beat Conor.
I saw that too. Wasn't it if he beats?
Yeah, Well, I think the thing is, I think Khabib thinks that Makhachev will be the champion by that time, so he'd have to fight and beat Makhachev for Khabib Nurmagomedov to come back.
And you got to think about all the contenders in the lightweight. You still have, I believe, Max Holloway's still in the lightweight division. If I'm correct, did he fall? Okay, well, you have Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira. You got obviously Makhachev, Darish. You got Dustin Poirier. There's a bunch of
Michael
people.
Chandler.
Yep, Michael
Tony
Chandler.
Ferguson. Dan Hooker.
Gaethje's getting the title shot. Yeah, Nay.
Yep. You got a lot of people to still fight for that belt, and I know that Oliveira does want to fight McGregor. But I think that let's say Gaethje does take that belt away from Oliveira. I think he still fights Conor McGregor. I think he still takes that fight. So,
who, Gaethje or Oliveira?
I think Gaethje still takes that McGregor fight. So
yeah, because you know what if you got Conor McGregor on a fight card, that pay-per-view bonus is going to be massive. Yeah. Conor's probably the biggest star the UFC's had since the early rising of John Jones. So
I agree 100%.
100%.
But at this point, I think that he's even low-key a bigger name than John Jones ever was.
Oh, he's definitely a bigger name than John Jones ever was. But
definitely,
it's still around the same area, and I think that it's because Conor McGregor was from Ireland, being an international star before he was the star in the U.S. that everyone now knows him as. Really adds to his fame.
He's just that shit talking Irishman that that just beats on people for a living. So
should be interesting.
Yeah, I like it. I guess we'll wrap it up here with the little parlay of the day, huh? We got
real quick shout out to everybody who rode my pick on Friday there. The Bonnies showed up and showed out.
Oh yeah.
Won by 7,
Nice.
covered the -4. That's what we do around here. We pick winners.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh yeah, all day. Well, hopefully the luck continues here. Got some championships going on tomorrow. So I got the Paul at +150 versus St. John's, and I also got Northwestern by 4.5 at -135 against Nebraska. Total of +335. So
like that Northwestern pick. Nebraska's riding high, coming off a little upset against Wisconsin a couple days ago.
Yep.
Northwestern, they'll put a stop to that.
Yep, I think so too. I guess that'll conclude our episode 3 launch table. Episode 4 coming out Friday.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
What?
Thanks for tuning in. This will hopefully be our best episode yet. So
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Hey, I
appreciate
think
the
it was.
support, and we'll catch you guys on Friday.
Peace
Yes.
out.
Adios.